Do you want to know how amazing people connect? Well, you're in the right place. Welcome to Marketing with Russ, aka #RussSelfie.
Thanks for connecting. And if you like what you hear, please share.
Special thank you to our sponsors of Marketing with Russ, Michelle Ashley Custom Cakes, the Alzheimer's Association, Best Heating and Cooling, and Stutzman Services. For more information on Michelle Ashley Custom Cakes and their amazing treats, go to michelleashley.com. And for more information on the Alzheimer's Association and how to give to this amazing organization, go to alz.org. And for more information on Best Heating and Cooling in Scioto, Oregon, and their heating and cooling services, go to best-heating.com. And finally, for Stutzman Services and their plumbing and water services, go to stutzmanservices.com. Music by Russ Hedge and Protestant, used with permission. Hey everybody, welcome to Marketing with Russ, aka #RussSelfie. I am so excited for my guest today. Return guest, a good friend, Nathan, is going to be with us today, and we have a lot to talk about. So, going to get moving along, and just thank you so much. This community is amazing. So thankful for all of you here today. We could not do this without you. So thank you so much. We are sponsor driven and listener supported. And I want to tell you how much that means to me. Today, Michelle Ashley Custom Cakes, Alzheimer's Association, Best Heating and Cooling, and Stutzman Services, all our sponsors for today. If you are interested in getting involved, putting out a positive message, adding value to others, really investing in a ministry, would love for you to be a sponsor. Reach out to me at russhedge.com, and you can go to my email, russ@russhedge.com, or just reach out to me, whatever works best for you. But all my information is at russhedge.com. So got to tell you that right off the bat. In fact, I will put that here on the screen. And also just want to remind you that we are also listener supported. There is a QR code. There's also a link in the comments. Thank you to all of you that have supported this amazing effort to get out a good word, to lift people up, to add value to life. Any amount that you want to give towards the production of costs is the why we're here. We can't do this without you. Thank you so much. Thanks so much for all being here. Again, we're here Monday and Thursday at 8 a.m. Pacific Standard Time on Marketing with Russ for your viewing and listening pleasure. That's right. So many ways. We're live at 8 a.m. But then if you miss it, because I know everybody's busy, you can listen on LinkedIn and YouTube forever and Facebook for 30 days. So you go back forever, listen and share. And it's just a great opportunity to still engage, connect. All the information for me, my guest, and for all the people in the comments are there for you too to connect with. Also, after it goes live, it sits on LinkedIn and YouTube and Facebook forever, or LinkedIn and YouTube forever. So you can watch this video podcast, like I said, but it converts to audio podcast then on all the major audio podcast platforms. If you like Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon, iHeartRadio, Pandora, XM Radio, go on and on and on. It's all there for your listening pleasure. So if you just want to listen while you're getting ready for work or jogging or cooking dinner, whatever, that would be so awesome. So please like, share, and comment whatever your favorite platform is. We would greatly, greatly appreciate that. Really trying to build up the audio podcast platform too. So appreciate that your comments on that as well. And so blessed, so blessed. Okay. Also, so many things going on. Wow. Coming off of PodFest and so many amazing connections. But I want to remind you that behind me, life happens and then you choose. My latest book is out. I was blessed by God to be able to put this out and encourage you to live a life of a good perspective in spite of circumstances. Just remember, your circumstances do not define you. You can live with a good perspective in spite of that. Doesn't mean you're happy all the time, but it means that you know you have hope and you know there are better things ahead in spite of what's going on in your circumstances. I've lived this throughout many circumstances of my life, especially the cancer journey over the last 3.5+ years. And so I'm telling you, hold on. It's going to be all right. You're going to move forward. You keep that good perspective. All my other books are available as well. They're all at russhedge.com. Right there. Woo, right there. There it is. Okay. So anyway, so thankful. Hey, I want to tell you that this show is all about how amazing people connect. I'm a firm believer that connection and community building are the foundation for any good marketing plan, any good business. Without people, things do not happen. And speaking of people, like I said, please connect with me at russhedge.com. Love to chat with you if we have not chatted. And please subscribe to our YouTube page. You go to marketingwithruss.live. I keep it really simple. My website is my name. The YouTube page is the name of the show. There you go. So if you can remember those two things, your money. And so anyway, Marketing with Russ, please subscribe today. In fact, you can open a separate link right now and subscribe right now. If you're not subscribed, there's thousands of people that will add value to your life on there. So please do that. Also, if you could share this out, tag your friends, let them know we're on. I appreciate it. Everybody's busy. Everybody's busy. And I want you to know that we love to remind people. I love to be reminded, that great things are on. And Nathan Mitchell's going to be on today. You don't want to miss him. You don't want to miss him for sure. So please tag your friends. All right. Last but not least, we do the marketing tip of the day every Monday and Thursday. Little snippet is cut out separately, put on YouTube Shorts, put on social media separately. You can actually like, comment, and share separately on the marketing tip of the day all by itself. And so if this encourages you, share it with others. And this is a good one today. Came out of a conversation I had yesterday with a good friend. So, all right, here we go. This is your marketing tip of the day. Seek peace first. That's right. In all that we do, if you are not at peace, if you are not connected to yourself, if you are not on a firm foundation, everything's going to be a struggle from there. It's all going to be an uphill climb. So today I want to encourage you, give yourself time. Morning is great. Everybody's different, but I'm telling you, starting your day with some quiet time, whatever you like to do. I like to pray and meditate and to actually journal and do things like that and exercise in the morning. Give myself time and peace and quiet to really get settled and set for the day. I am a firm believer that God is my foundation, so I build everything on that, and God gives me the peace that passes all understanding. And today I want to remind you that without peace, everything gets really crazy because this world is full of turmoil. So today, seek peace first before you do anything else. Get ahead of the game, and that will be your secret sauce. That will get you pointed in the right direction. So seek peace first. That is your marketing tip of the day. All right. So that will be edited down, and that will actually be put out, be less than a minute long, and you can share that with friends. And so thank you so much. All right. Let's get Nathan in the room. He's back there going, wait a second. Am I coming? What's going on? Hey, Nathan.
Hey, Russ. Great to see you, my friend. So happy to be here.
So glad to see you. So glad you're back. We have had so much to talk about. And for those people that missed out on the first time you were on, tell everybody, who in the world is Nathan Mitchell? What are you up to?
Yeah, my name is Nathan. My company is Lead Empowered LLC. I live just outside of Tulsa, Oklahoma, in a community called Broken Arrow with my beautiful wife of 23 years. Her name is Sarah. We have two wonderful kids who are walking their own journey of faith right now. My daughter Eiley, she'll be 19 on Easter Sunday this year, and my son Nathan will be 16 on tax day, April 15th. And yeah, Russ, I'm a leadership development coach. I'm certified in mindset, leadership, and teamwork. And I really help small and mid-sized businesses create high-performing, burnout-free cultures through empowered leaders and aligned teams using a system called the Five Voices Leadership Framework. And as you know, because you've been on the show, I also host Lead Empowered TV on E360 TV, YouTube, and LinkedIn. It's a show where I feature small businesses, medium-sized business owners, thought leaders. We have empowering conversations that really transform how we lead, work, and live. And, Russ, I'm so excited to share on your show today. That show launched in the beginning of December. I'm just so grateful how God has already showed up and blessed it. In less than 2 months, we have over 40,000 views on YouTube. We have over 200 subscribers. And last month, we had just shy of 5,000 viewers on E360 with an average watch time of 17 minutes for a show that's only 26 minutes long. So I am really excited about that. And, it's definitely a testimony to how God shows up, when you surround yourself with the right people like yourself, Russ, and other members of the Hounds of Business community. And I'm just so grateful to be a part of and to be honored to be a part of what Mike Asherbranner is doing with the Hounds.
Yeah, oh, so amazing. Nathan, we think a lot alike, and that is why we have such great conversations. But, there's a lot of people in leadership out there. I'm a big John Maxwell fan. There's lots of things going on. I'm sure
I'm a member of the John Maxwell team. I got certified back in I think 2016.
Oh, yeah. So great. So great. And so, but talk to me, why leadership development?
Yeah, that's a great question. I've always been a student of leadership and personal development. So that's something that has always really been just a natural passion of mine. And, Russ, I'm a Gen Xer, and I took that path that many of us Gen Xers were given as we were growing up. And that was keep your head down, get good grades, find a good job, graduate from high school, get into college, keep your head down, get good grades, graduate, find a good job, stay there until you retire and then ultimately expire. And that path worked for a lot of baby boomers and generations that came before us, but it really didn't work for many of us Gen Xers. And I ultimately got into this line of work after spending 12 years as a leader in middle level management with a Fortune 50 company. And at the end of the day, I found the corporate grind and climbing the corporate ladder to be very unfulfilling. And my values definitely shifted. I would say in my early 30s when my wife and I started to have kids, about what was really important in life. So I ended up leaving in 2011, 2012-ish and started doing leadership development work and started teaching part-time at a local college here in our area. And around the same time, I started working with a couple of mentors and really discovered that my God-given purpose in life is to empower people to reach their full leadership potential. So I've been trying my best to fulfill that purpose ever since and to have faith as Christ walks through this life alongside me.
Yeah, well, you know what? It all starts with Christ. I completely agree with that. And you are, getting in tune with what really, really matters in your life. Wow, that is so important. So why empowerment? What is so important about that for people?
Yeah, great question. Really, it comes out of my own personal testimony, to be honest. I think our purpose in life, for those of us who are fortunate enough to find it, I think there's a lot of people that search for it and just never grasp the concept of what it is. But for me, it was really born out of personal experience. Russ, I was an awkward kid. I mean, there was something different about me, right? And I just didn't really understand it until I got older. But I was overweight, fat kid, not athletic at all, bullied quite a lot, had my own circle, very small circle of friends. And I was comfortable with that. And that was enough for me. But, as a result, I felt alienated, I think, and isolated most of my childhood. And as a result of that, I was never really great at empowering myself. And when I entered the corporate world, I remember thinking to myself, wow, is this what I've really been waiting for? Is this really all there is? And it reminds me of the song Run by Collective Soul that starts out, are these times contagious? I've never been this bored before. Is this the prize that I've waited for? And that was really an eye-opening experience to me. I had a lot of success very early on in my professional career. And people saw a lot of potential in me that for one reason or another, I really struggled to see in myself. And to be honest with you, I still struggle with that a lot to this day. But at the end of the day, in that corporate environment, trying to climb the corporate ladder, I was really miserable. And recently this week, I was watching Mike's interview with Baz Porter, and it was a great conversation. They were talking about alignment, and one of the comments that I made during that live stream was that I never felt more unfulfilled in my life than when I was making six figures in a job that wasn't in alignment with who God designed me to be. And for most of my adult life, I didn't handle that well. I grew up, in a family that had a history of alcohol addiction. As a result of that, I drowned my own misery using the same vice for most of my adult life. And so again, for most of that time, I hadn't been good at empowering myself, but I was great. I was great at coaching. I was great at supporting. I was great at coaching others in healthy ways to empower them to be the best version of themselves. I was good at leading others, not so great at leading myself for a long time. And there's so much irony in that, Russ. At the end of the day, my purpose of empowering others was really born out of my own personal weakness. And I didn't want others to feel, the same way that I had felt most of my life, and ultimately not make some of the bad choices that I had made either.
Yeah, I think that we've all been through so much, and learning how to empower yourself and to step out is so critical in life. It is. It just makes such a big difference. So I know that you've got so much going on and so many things happening. I know you're involved with the charter school. Let me know a little bit of information about that. How did you get involved with that?
Yeah, actually, I was with that organization for 7 years, and that's a great question. That's back in like 2017. I was doing a lot of consulting work for a local accounting firm at the time, and the assistant superintendent from their charter school actually called me, and like yourself, he was a big John Maxwell fan, and he had actually just discovered my website online, and liked the leadership philosophy, and I was a member of the John Maxwell team, certified in that, and so we had that alignment. And he really wanted me to come in and do some leadership development work with a small group of mid-level managers that they had, and we had multiple conversations. We really hit it off. There was a synergy there between us. And I submitted a proposal to that organization. They just wanted me to work with them for 90 days. But I remember that proposal being $15,000. And it was $5,000 a month, for the fall term. And the assistant superintendent took that proposal to the co-founders, and they came back and they said, we can pay you $500 a month, $1,500, more or less, kind of take it or leave it. And I told my wife, I said, I don't know what it is about this, but I feel like I'm being led by the Holy Spirit, that this is something that I am supposed to do. Like God is really calling me to work with this organization. So, I approached it from the standpoint of a servant leader, which is really important to me. I put my pride and ego aside, and it was great working with them. Fast forward to February 2018, the accounting firm that I was working with didn't renew my contract for another year. And that was an $80,000 contract that I was earning each year at the time as a result of working with them. And I was scared to death. I had no idea what I was going to do financially, because I had started my first business when I left the Walgreens Corporation, and went through, all that we had in savings and whatnot to get that to a sustainable level. So I received my last check from the accounting firm that I was working with at the end of February 28th. And I was just so ridden with anxiety and self-doubt, and didn't know what the next steps looked like for my life. And that following week, the assistant superintendent from the charter school called me again and said, hey, we loved the work that you did with us in the fall, and we would love to have you consider working for us full time. So literally the next day, I found myself in a boardroom in Oklahoma City with the co-founders and the superintendents explaining why I was the best fit for their organization. And during the course of that interview, they actually offered me a job on the spot, and it was really half of what I had been making. and was just not going to sustain us, at the end of the day. And even though I had no money coming in, no job prospects, I was literally just on the heels of receiving my last check. I actually turned that offer down, and I'm driving back to the Tulsa area from Oklahoma City. Like, how am I going to tell my wife that, I just received my final check and I was offered something today, and I felt like I was being led to turn it down. And the next day, the assistant superintendent called me and said, "Hey, we thought a lot about our conversation yesterday. We loved what you had to share, and we're willing to pay you what you asked for."
That is awesome.
And, that's a testimony of, just listening and being faith-filled and walking alongside God. And, I've experienced that in multiple times in my life. And I think the older I get, the more I've learned to trust that in the moment, how God has proven himself faithful when in the moment it doesn't make sense.
Right. Yeah. Well, I completely believe that. In fact, God, as they say, works in mysterious ways sometimes. And I went through a change. Actually, I was still working for a company, but I was looking to change because of things that were going on, and had a similar situation. Interviewed with a company. The beautiful thing about this company was it was 10 minutes from my house instead of driving hours every day.
Right. Yeah.
It was, it opened opportunities for me to be able to be with my kids as they're growing up, coach and be at their school and do stuff that was so important. But they
Right.
just weren't offering what I had been making anywhere close. And so I didn't think I could make it. Although the future potential, there was good upward potential in that job. But
Yeah.
I turned it down also. And there were two things that happened. Well, God spoke to me through my brother-in-law, who spoke to me about what was really important in life. They came back, gave me a little bit more money, not all that I needed at the time, but promised me upward mobility with that job, which I ended up making a lot more at that job over time. But I took that job then on the second round just because of what was more important in life. And I think this is, something we all need to look at. What are your values? What are you standing on? If you're standing for the Lord and you're trying to move forward in positive directions and do things that really are significant and make a difference in life, just like we talked about with the leadership, with empowerment, and all the things that you're doing, it makes such a difference when you have a job that allows you to move in that direction.
Yeah, absolutely. And I ended up staying there for 7 years, last academic year. So it was 2024-25, laid off nearly 300 people, in the fall. And I loved working there. Was so blessed. I had the opportunity to train and develop, over 2,000 administrators and educators across the entire state of Oklahoma in leadership, communication, the workplace culture, all of those things, which are really heavy on my heart to help people. But yeah, and then you think back in the spring of last year, Russ, it was February or March, since I'd been working there full time, I had put away all of the things that was my first business. I closed that down because I was working full time for the school. And again, last March, I would say I felt like I was being led again, like I needed to start a business and to rebuild myself online and establish another brand. And I just listened to that call. And on June 3rd, I found an email in my inbox that I was being laid off with another almost 300 people. And I was locked out of all systems within 10 minutes. And I'm just thinking to myself, okay, for the last 90 days, I've been establishing myself online again. I've started another company, and this is what God is preparing me for, that next phase of my life. And so I'm an entrepreneur out of necessity again. But at the end of the day, I am still in alignment with God, with what God has called me to do,
Right.
As He begins to continue to carve out the next steps for what this next year looks like, next 5 years, next 10 years, 20 years. And all I know is that in the 49 years of my life, He has always proven faithful for me. And I know that this season is not going to be any different. It's often hard to see that in the moment, though, as I know that you definitely experience in the battles that you faced in your life.
Yeah. Well, and so much is we get so off track with money and figuring out the way things should be
Right.
and stuff when it's just not God's plan. And so there's been so many times God just takes me right up to the very last second and then provides just to
Yeah.
remind me. In fact, one time I have a great
He has an
story.
annoying way of waiting to the last minute, I've discovered.
Oh my goodness. That's so true. I got to tell you this story because I put out there, and a lot of times I have prayer things all over my wall, and I have circled prayers. I don't know if you've read The Circle Maker, but that's such an amazing book,
Yep.
amazing pastor. Anyway,
It's a book on prayer, right?
Yeah, circled prayers all over my wall. But one of them, a lot of times when I need a certain amount of money just to cover things, I will put it up there and circle it. Not stuff that I want, stuff that I just need to cover to pay.
Right.
And I don't have it at the moment, so I'll put it up. I'll circle it. And so I did that one time, and God reminded me. He goes, well, you have put aside money in these stocks for emergencies, so you've got it. You're covered in case
Right.
you need that. And I said, I know, God, but this is where we're going back and forth. But I want you to provide. I don't want to use that money. But he goes, I've already provided that. I said, I know, but I want you to provide. I don't want to use that money. So anyway, here's the funny part. The day comes and goes, and I have to pull money out of that stocks, which I had made a lot of money on, which was good. And I had to pay this debt off. The next day, I got 3 times the amount that I needed. Just God to show me,
Yeah.
See, got things all covered. I just want you to know that I'm never going to leave you hanging.
Yeah.
But your plan wasn't my plan, right? So
Yeah, I've found that what I want and what I ask for is often not always what he delivers. And he's really smart about that. I think he gives us what we need, not what we want in all seasons of our life. And it's really hard to see that in a moment, but as I've been processing a lot, just over the last 7 months with the transition that I'm experiencing in my life. And, I remember praying, the other night, and I said, God, I just feel like I'm in a desert right now. And the response that I heard in my heart was, my favorite place. And, God cannot prune us, or it's more difficult to prune us when times are easy. Right. It's in these moments where we really have to call out on him and listen and watch how he's moving in our lives, that he really begins to shape us and mold us into the likeness of Christ and who he ultimately wants us to become.
Yeah, no, exactly. That's so true. So well spoken. I can't say it any better. And besides, it's time to wrap this show up. It goes so fast. I cannot believe it. But Nathan, we're going to end up having you on again because you're amazing. Great friend.
Thanks, brother. I appreciate the opportunity to be here so much and to just steward my story. I was just being prayerful last night that I hoped that what I shared today has impacted somebody in a positive way. And I'm here to help anybody. Reach out to me. I'm happy to help.
Well, I can tell you it's already reached me in a positive way. So thank you, brother. I appreciate
You're welcome, man.
So tell me, what is your gold nugget of today's conversation? What do you want not to leave hanging, but you want people to remember from today's conversation, and then remind everybody how they get in touch with you?
Yeah, just be mindful, look for those times when God honors his promises to you. I like to call them little God winks. If you have me back on the show, there's so many stories that I can tell, but I just look over the course of my life and look at how God has proven himself faithful. So I would say if you find yourself in a season of doubt right now, get in the word. That's one of the things that I do every single day. Russ, I'm either reading, something from Proverbs or Psalms every day, and I'm reading 1 Corinthians right now. And that just, gives me the perspective that I need on a daily basis. And it keeps me being mindful as him as the most important thing in my life. And yeah, if you want to check out about Lead Empowered TV, you can go to leadempowered.com/TV. And leadempowered.com is my company also. So if you go to that domain, leadempowered.com, you're going to find everything you need to know about me.
Awesome. Well, here is all the information, and I'm telling you, at least a lot of it for Nathan. It's all clickable, everybody. So you can click and go straight to Nathan, and make sure you connect with him. because what a valuable resource he is. Nathan, I appreciate you so much, and we will talk again soon. I'm going to say goodbye and scream, but hang tight in the green room, and I'll wrap things up and be with you, all right?
You got it, my friend.
All right, thank you. Wow, I tell you, another great, amazing conversation, and there it is, all the information you need, and it is in the show notes, it's in the comments, and you can click on it, go straight to Nathan. So I want to encourage you to do that today. So thankful for everybody that is here today. So many amazing friends. And listen, if everybody could do me a big favor, even now as we're talking, if you can share this out, let people know, because you know what? It sits on LinkedIn, YouTube, and Facebook after we're done. So if people missed it live, you can still tag them. You can still share it with them. I would love it if you would please do that. Also, remember, please subscribe to our YouTube page. It's grown by leaps and bounds. Just go to marketingwithruss.live. Piece of cake. And if you have not connected with me, russhedge.com, if you've not got a copy of my book, it would bless me. It would be an honor if you would get a copy and let me know what you think of my book. I hope it inspires, encourages you. I know God put it in my heart to share with all of you. So thank you. It's a good way to keep a good perspective and empower yourself to do great things, just like Nathan was talking about today. So with that, I just want to remind you, we're here every Monday and Thursday, 8 a.m. Pacific Standard Time for your viewing and listening pleasure. And if you didn't catch us, can't watch us, remember we're on audio podcast as well. And I just appreciate all of you. Until next time, have a blessed and amazing weekend. See ya. Bye. Well, I'm trying to say goodbye, but you know what? Things are freezing up. This is what happens when we go live. And this is actually interesting. This has never happened. Wow. So cool. So cool. So I'm just going to say goodbye to you today this way without the credits rolling. And so interesting. This is what we love about live streaming.
Thanks for joining us for this week's episode of Marketing with Russ, aka #RussSelfie. Be sure to subscribe in your favorite podcast app so that you don't miss a single episode. Have an amazing day.